Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeremy Borland. I'm one of the Dynamics sales executives here at Turnkey Technology. So for the next segment, we're actually going to take a look at a product called Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. I've got quite a few slides to kind of go through to highlight some of the key features and functions as well as the benefits of Dynamics 365 Business Central. And then we're going to dive in and take a look at the actual product so you can get a feel for the look and feel, some of the navigation keys, as well as some transactional processing, just really show you how the business flow is really streamlined. When we talk about Dynamics 365 Business Central, a lot of times when we're talking with clients that are looking to replace their systems, they encounter issues around insufficient reporting data, duplicate data. They're using multiple systems. They have a lot of manual processes, multiple people entering data in multiple places, siloed systems that don't speak together, as well as security issues, tracking the workflow of how this data is really moving from system to system and really not being able to consolidate all that information into a single source to provide that information to the business managers and the owners of the company or the CEOs to be able to really make those day-to-day business processing decisions. If those of you on the phone aren't familiar with the term Business Central, it actually is based on a pretty strong foundation from Microsoft. It is now called, obviously, 365 Business Central, but it is based on a NAV code base, which has been around for 31 plus years at this point in time with over 160,000 customers with, as you can see, millions of users. And it's really designed for small to mid-sized organizations that are currently outgrowing their current financial accounting system or their ERP and looking to really take the business to the next level. What we're going to see as we go through the deck and take a deeper look into Business Central is all the great features and options that can be presented to you and your users as well as your team. But I think one of the biggest wins throughout the theme of this is really offering an affordable cloud-based subscription service that you can deploy and implement without breaking the budget. One of the big things that we're going to see as a continuing theme throughout the ERP Showdown today is really the integration of these ERPs within the Microsoft technology stack. Depending on where you are in your decision process or implementation timeframe or what you might be looking to do, this is always something to kind of keep an eye out for is what is the overall trajectory of the technology stack that might be a good fit for your organization. I like to pull up this slide because not only is Dynamics 365 Business Central have a lot of features and functions that allow you to take your business processing to the next level, but there's a lot of integration that you can leverage directly out of the box. The one I like to call out right away is really Office 365. So would it be nice to have an ERP system that automatically communicated with Microsoft Outlook? What if I could go into my inbox and see a request for a quote and be able to generate the quote, generate the sales order, generate the invoice directly from Exchange without having to toggle back between multiple systems? That's something that we're going to see later on once we dive into the application. But it also goes much further than that. We'll see how Business Central can integrate with Power BI, Cortana Intelligence, Internet of Things, a lot of third-party business applications, as well as other Dynamics 365 modules, including 365 for sales, field service, et cetera, et cetera. All of this is really wrapped in a Microsoft cloud-based solution in Azure, which is the world's leading cloud-based solution. So you can definitely see how this is a great decision for your IT departments or your management to look at as from a technology stack perspective. So what's included in Business Central? Chris just gave a great presentation about GP, showing all the features and functions. So what kind of product comparison can I make to see how do I get the same features and functions within a product that's designed really for small to mid-size? This slide really shows all the modules that are included from financial management all the way through reporting to analytics. The one thing I like to point out is really the affordability of Business Central. We're going to talk later about some price points, but I always like to tease that a little bit at the beginning because there is a Business Central Essentials user license, which is $70 per user, which gets you pretty much everything you see on the slide. The only two exceptions that are offered in the premium service, which we'll talk about a little bit later, is some expanded service management as well as some additional manufacturing functionality. But beyond that, every block you see on the screen in front of you is actually included as part of the base core application that's ready to use from day one. What that means is bringing all of your single processes into a single application within Business Central. So I get to pull my systems and processes together. I can manage my financials, my sales, my service, my operations, my reporting. I can even pull in third-party applications around payroll, banking, more specific field service or CRM applications as well. Another key win that we're going to see once we get into the demo is really presenting all this information in a state-of-the-art user interface. So what are applications? I'm not sure if anyone has actually explored Microsoft App Source before, but there's over 1,000 applications that are available for download. These are applications that have been designed specifically to integrate out of the box with Dynamics 365 Business Central. They can be industry or business specific. So beyond the really robust functionality you're getting out of the box with the product, if there's specific markets or segments or needs that your business has that are unique, you'll find a world of apps available at your fingertips that can easily be downloaded and connected with Business Central, which is a great opportunity to really expand the functionality beyond what's already there. It also allows you to connect to data sources and outside services. So whether it's Excel files, SharePoint files, CRM records from Dynamics 365 for sales, Power Apps, you really are getting a full spectrum of options of being able to grow your functionality from a systems perspective. A lot of you probably experience multiple systems or siloed systems or processes where many people have to touch a document or a process from beginning to end. So what we hear a lot when we're talking to clients that are looking to upgrade their applications is really being able to secure their business processes and create workflows to track those approval processes. In this day and age, of course, security and compliance and risk are all on the tops of everyone's minds. So having an application that can not only really process your data and take care of your business processes, but also have the ability to go back and track from an audit trail and security perspective is more important than ever. Once we get into the application, I'll point out a few areas where you can really leverage these workflows to be able to track items and processes as they move through the system. Having a single source or an end-to-end view of how the business is performing, I think, is ideal for everyone who's in business today. I don't want to have to pull reports from multiple systems or log on to complicated Excel spreadsheets to see how my business is actually performing. Wouldn't it be great if that data can be presented to me in a single dashboard that's easy to use, easy to read, and also kind of tells me what action items within my business need to be addressed immediately. In this screenshot, for example, you'll notice that one of the tiles has a red bar on the top while others have green. We'll see this once we get into the demo as well, but one of the great things about Dynamics 365 Business Central is not only presenting the data in a consolidated view, but showing me as the business owner or the business manager exactly which items I need to take action on right away or what requires my immediate attention without minimizing other key performance indicators that might be important for my day-to-day operations. These updates are real-time. You can drill down into pie charts, bar charts, any kind of tiles or views that you need. Whatever's the best view for you to be able to process the information, but really having a single source is really one of the key wins with this application. Beyond the key performance indicators on the dashboard, a lot of customers are always looking for availability for deeper analytics or advanced insights into how the business is performing. One of the great things about Business Central, because it is based in the Microsoft technology stack and with the integration points with not only Office 365, but other third-party applications, we're able to utilize not only the reports that are inherent within Business Central, but direct integration with Power BI that can pull reports directly into your desktop for easy view. It also allows you to perform ad hoc reporting, customized reporting, really doing analyzing and reporting across multiple dimensions. And like we said, having custom dashboards that presents real-time data to the user, whether it be the owner or the end user, showing what information they need to see at their fingertips. What about implementation? A lot of times when customers are looking at growing the business or moving on to a new financial system or ERP, that's one of the key questions or challenges we address at the beginning. The great thing about Business Central, there is a very easy process for migrating your data directly into the application. We're also going to see during the demo how it supports multi-company. So if you're an operation that has more than one business entity, Dynamics 365 Business Central can easily support that, as well make it easy to upload those financial informations directly into the system. Handling business processes like quotes, orders, invoicing, purchasing, cash management, all that stuff is available out of the box day one. And because it's built in the cloud and based on a subscription service, it's super easy to manage and set up, which basically takes the transition to the next level much easier versus old school systems that were labored with long implementation timeframes and very costly implementation services. But I think one of the most important things I've seen with these implementations is there's really little impact to the day-to-day workflow. A lot of organizations don't have a large team of folks that are able to stop what they're doing and focus on a 6-month implementation. So finding a system that's easy to use, affordable, and easy to migrate to is definitely important selection criteria for most businesses today. What we're going to see once we dive deeper into the system is really see how the look and feel of Microsoft has been transferred across the Business Central platform. What you'll notice is that the look and feel is very familiar and very similar to what you use today. So for those of you that are using Office 365, you're going to see the familiarities between Exchange, Excel, all the Office applications, which really makes it easier to use. It provides for quicker adoption. It also provides for reduced training time, which is another key item that most companies are looking at when they're looking to replace or upgrade their existing systems. The other thing we'll touch on briefly is the ability to customize the look and feel. So you can actually have role-specific views. You can personalize feeds and notifications. So that way, as a user, I'm not presented with a bunch of data that really doesn't apply to my day-to-day processing. I'm able to customize which data elements are important for me and which kind of key action items would I want to be notified on a day-to-day basis. One of the coolest things that we're going to see during the demo, in my opinion, is really the integration of Business Central directly with the Office 365 applications, especially Outlook. So we'll actually see a scenario of this in the actual live demonstration. But we talked about, wouldn't it be cool to be able to create a quote, process orders, and submit invoices all directly from Outlook Exchange without ever having to actually go into your ERP, or being able to import or export data directly to Excel, or being able to create purchase orders, invoices, quotes, proposals through Microsoft Word, all part of the technology stack. These are all things that we're going to be able to demonstrate when we take a deeper look. Another key win with Business Central based on the current technology, you can actually take it with you. You can download an app on your phone, whether it's Droid or iOS or any operating system. It can be on your mobile device, laptop, iPad. So again, for those of you that might be doing some traveling or looking to stay in touch with how your business is performing no matter where you are, not only does it do that a great job of presenting you with that information at the office, but it also provides you mobile opportunities to see how your business is performing as well. On the screenshot, we can kind of get a view of the mobile devices and the tablets, but it's the same presentation of data. So I got a single source that shows me graphs, live tiles that show me which key items might require assistance, all from my fingertips. Later on, we're actually going to look at the comparison chart of how both Dynamics GP, Business Central, and Finance and Operations compare. We'll also talk a little bit about the pricing model. I always like to include this slide just to kind of set the tone for as we get further into the demonstration, so you really get to see what kind of functionality you're getting for the price. So the slide we saw earlier with all the boxes that show that basically everything from financial management to reporting are included in the essentials is really represented here. So for $70 per user per month, that is the monthly price for the essentials license type. Of course, you guys can see on the slide, so I won't read all of it, but you'll see you get all those features and functions are included with that base essentials license type. With the premium subscription, which raises it from $70 to $100 per user per month, it includes all the functionality in Essentials as well as service management and manufacturing modules. But we also have a team member license. So if you have users that aren't really in the system on a day-to-day basis, they're able to read, provide approval, pull reports, do some day-to-day activities without consuming a full user license. So we really work with our clients to determine what's the optimum mix of user types as well as team members to really make it an affordable option of moving your business forward. So when we take a look in review of what Business Central might have to bring to the table, Obviously, we talked about it being a single comprehensive solution. You can actually expand the functionality with apps. The look and feel of Office 365 makes it easier to use, easier to learn, and a reduced training time. And really, one of the key factors is the integration with Outlook and Office 365 applications, as well as being able to take business with you on the go. So that's kind of a high level. We're going to take a look at the system now and kind of walk through some items, hopefully show you a kind of a full spectrum view of some of the features and functions as well as the look and feel to really give you kind of an idea of what's contained within Business Central. Beyond navigation, we're going to take a look at role-based scenarios. It's a pretty cool feature that's built within that allows you to customize a user experience based upon job role. We're going to look at how it supports multi-company, a few business processes around quote to cash as well as procure to pay. But another key important item to always see when you're looking at new applications, obviously, is looking at the reporting capabilities. So what can it report on out of the box? Are there additional expansions that I can do from a reporting perspective? I know that we're hearing that all this data is presented in a single source, but what does that mean for me and how can I customize that to really be of value to my organization? So without any further ado, hopefully my screen is cooperating and going along with me. We'll go ahead and transfer over and take a look at the Dynamics 365 Business Central home screen. Having used multiple systems in the past, one of the key things that really steps out to me right away really is the look and feel and the ease of use of navigation of Business Central and being able to find your way around. I'm sure many of us have used systems in the past where you've got multiple screens that pop up, you've got bread trails or file menus. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what screen you're on or how you got there. Business Central does a great job of presenting all of that information directly up front so it's easy to access. Some of the key things I like to point out right off the bat is really these key action items. So for those that are doing day-to-day processing, being able to create quotes on the fly or invoices or purchase orders without having to dig down through multiple layers of the application, you can actually hit these buttons directly and it will take you right into the application. We talked a bit about the live tiles and key performance indicators that are presented to the users. These are examples that I have currently set up in my demo environment. What we'll see here is two of the tiles obviously are red. The rest are teal color, but some of them also have green indicators. These are actually customizable, and depending on your user type, and what key performance indicators are important for you, we can actually go in and customize which ones of these I need to see, what are the favorable and unfavorable conditions for each of these indicators. So hopefully this is really giving you a feel for how we can customize this home screen to really show you the data at a single source of all the items that you would need to access. When we talk about user types, there are several roles that can be defined within the Business Central application, from business manager to sales order processor, production planner. Maybe it's just a team member who needs to view or access information at specific points in time. I always like to pull up this screen to kind of just give you a feel for how these roles vary and what those mean. So we can see from a business manager perspective, that basically allows me access from all the financials all the way through the approval process. But if I were to go and look at the team member, obviously the functionality that's being presented to me as a team member would be reduced because I'm just doing specific features and functions that a limited user would actually do. These are actually tied back to your user profile. It is named users, so you can control which users have access to which information. It also helps with training and ease of implementation because sometimes it can be difficult to learn new systems and screens when you're being presented with a lot of fields and options that don't necessarily apply to your job role. So we like to really work with our customers to determine not only the number of users that are going to be in the application, but also what kind of job roles are going to be important and how those might be impacted. Taking a look at my settings, we did talk about Business Central being multi-company. So obviously I'm signed in as my business manager, but here's the option where we can actually have multiple companies within a single application. So depending on your user role or your access, you can actually do different processing and financial management based on company, but at the same time have reporting either by company or rolled up to a universal umbrella level. The same thing goes for security. So if there were certain users that could only access certain companies, we could all control that from user settings and log on information. There's also an option within my settings to personalize the look and feel. That was one of our key bullet points we looked at earlier. By personalizing, we can actually decide what tiles are presented, how they look. We can rearrange the screens. So a lot of these features are not available out of a lot of traditional ERP applications. So I always like to point out some of these usability things off of the top. So I'm going to say done because I don't want to mess up my demo environment, but at least wanted to show you how it's presented. Some of the screens that we're going to see a lot as we dive into some specific processing, really embrace that Office 365 look and feel. So with one touch of a button, I'm very quickly able to access my customers, my vendors. More specifically, let's take a look at my item records, for example. So a very user-friendly presentation of all the items that are currently in my inventory or available for processing. One of our examples later on, we're going to look at ordering some office furniture, including some chairs and a conference table. But I always like to show this screen to show you how intuitive and the presentation is really pretty amazing within Business Central, which makes it even easier to use. Okay. So now let's move into a specific scenario. I really wanted to show the integration of Business Central with one of the Office 365 products. One of the most powerful ones, in my opinion, really is the integration with Microsoft Exchange. So I've switched my screen over and actually pulled up my inbox, and you can see I've actually received an email from Jeremy Borland, my alter ego, who happened to work for a Datum corporation. So in this case, it's basically sent the bill and it says they're planning an office renovation and they need a quote for some new office furniture. So again, working from within my inbox, wouldn't it be great to be able to access my ERP system with one click of a button and see company information as well as perhaps create a quote, invoice, and transactional processing. What you'll notice is within my inbox itself, there's actually a Business Central icon. If I click on this, I can actually pull up my Contact Insights window, which is actually analyzing through intelligence the email that I've received in my inbox to see if it can pull any data from the message I've received. It's recognized that Jeremy Borland actually works for a Datum corporation. And because of that, over here in my Insights window, you can see it's automatically pulled up my customer card directly from Business Central. So without even leaving my inbox, I'm able to get a view about how this company is performing, any details around their balances or past due, aged accounts receivable. Here are some additional tiles that are easy to access, my ongoing sales quotes or invoices, which I can actually click into and drill down. We're going to see an example of this later on as well, but we talked about Business Central really being key in controlling your business processes from a workflow and an approval process. So we can actually create workflows even and plug them in onto different transactions. Any workflows that would apply to what you're working on would actually present themselves down here in the workflow field. So again, all of this information is at my fingertips, and I haven't even done anything yet except for actually log into my inbox, just based on my contact. It looks like Bill is looking for a quote for 7 chairs and 2 conference tables for his new office renovation. So let's see what we can do to create a sales quote directly from Exchange without having to actually go back to BC. So by clicking on this button, you can see I'm presented with several options. I can create a quote, invoice, sales order, credit memo. In this case, this customer is actually asking for a quote. So I'm going to select on new quote. Now what I also think is cool, notice how Business Central also was able to read the text of my email message and to recognize that Bill was specifically requesting a quote for 7 London chairs and 2 Antwerp tables. So without me having to type any information in, the system was actually able to pull this information and data directly from the email. By clicking OK, I can actually create the quote directly from the application. So now what? What would you typically do in your business processes with these types of scenarios? I have the option to send this by email, but you notice I can also create attachments that might be pertinent to this quote. If there's any approval processes or work requests that I need to go through, all those can be handled directly from the Insights window within my inbox. for the sake of time today, let's say that we've sent this email and Bill has come back, or I'm sorry, Jeremy's come back and said, yes, I want to move forward. Go ahead and make this an invoice and send it over. So by clicking on Make an Invoice, Business Central will automatically ask, are you sure you want to convert this? Absolutely, let's do it. So by clicking on Yes, it's basically creating an invoice for me to send over. Now, once again, I have a variety of options that I can do from within the application without having to toggle into any other systems. So this example, I've created the quote, I've created the invoice. Now I want to post and send. So by clicking on a button, Business Central and Microsoft Outlook Exchange are working together to actually create the invoice and craft the email message that is then going to be sent out in return to my customer. So here it's loading. So let's pull this up. Okay, so we can basically see this is exactly what it did. So it's from, this is my user log on for Business Central, but it's going to automatically send an email to Jeremy. Here's my invoice detailed information about the total invoice cost, but you'll notice here's my invoice attached. So if I were to click on this, I could actually have a preview of what the invoice is going to look like. These are all very, very modern PDF Word-based invoices, so they can be easily customized with your company logo and look and feel to really include a lot of leading-edge kind of modern information on all customer communications that you would have. So this is now turned into a posted sales invoice. Actually, it's number 103249. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this email and see what this means. Go ahead and send this back to Jeremy, so it'll be on its way. So what's been going on the back end within Business Central during this whole process? So I know that was a lot of screens to go through, but even though I actually created the quote and created the invoice and posted it within Business Central, because of the connection within the Dynamics environment, those same transactions were being captured on the back end within my actual Business Central application. So what I wanted to show you is if I go back in now to Business Central, drill down into sales, and I go to look at my posted sales invoices, I should be able to see the invoice that was just created for Jeremy at Datum Corporation. Now the invoice number was 103249. Back in the whole spirit of the look and feel of Microsoft Office, I also like to point out these key quick search buttons. So not only do I have to see all my records, but I can actually search to drill down by customer, by client. I can even go as far as to drill down by specific invoice number, if that's what I was searching for. So again, here is the invoice that I just created. So it's just showing how that invoice, yes, in fact, not only was created from a sales quote, the invoice was created, and we had posted and sent it over to the customer for their review. So hopefully that's a great example of how you can really leverage the power of Microsoft Office Exchange and Business Central and the integration. Now let's say that time has gone on, they've reviewed the invoice that they've sent, and now it's time for them to actually remit payment for the chairs and conference furniture that they've actually ordered. So by going into cash management and into my cash receipts journal, I can actually go in now and completely convert this email from quote to cash. So we've got my posting date, we've actually received a payment from a customer, sorry. I can see what customer did this payment actually apply to. There's my Datum Corporation. What was the amount of the payment? Let's say they're going to pay the invoice in full. What kind of document is this payment applying to? Well, we know it was an invoice. So Business Central is not only smart enough to be able to pull which customer you're working with, but it's also able to pull which invoices you might need to be applying this payment to. So by pulling in all the information for the direct payment, I can basically post the payment. It's basically saying, are you sure you want to continue? Yes, I want to confirm posting. And I get a message that my journal lines were successfully posted. So that was really an example of quote to cash as a process. Sometimes we like to call that email to money, because it really was taking a business request from a customer via email, taking it entirely through the process from actually entering the sales quote, sending it via email, being able to convert to an invoice, posting the invoice, and then finally making the payment or converting that invoice to cash, all with very few clicks, very few menus, and really ease of navigation all between the applications. The other item I wanted to show as an example today is really a procure-to-pay, or how easy it really is to work with your vendors on making those payments, and taking a purchase invoice, paying the vendor, reviewing vendor balances, suggesting payments, all these things that are very practical in day-to-day financial management and processing. So in this example, let's say I've received a purchase invoice from one of my vendors. So through this view, I'm actually going to go directly into the vendor account. We took a look at customers and items earlier during the presentation, so now we're going to focus a little bit on vendors. Fabricam is the purchase invoice, is the company from which the purchase invoice needs to be created. If I click on that, I'm able to drill down into the specific information about what's going on with my current relationship with this vendor. You'll see I'm easily presented with balance, outstanding orders, any information I need to see from my vendor history. Again, all these are the live tiles that I can easily click into. There's 35 posted invoices. If I click on that tile, which is a recurrence through Business Central, by the way, it'll actually take me into a drill down view, so I'm able to see detailed information about what data comprises information in that tile. But I really like the way this information is presented at a single source. It's very easy to understand and very easy to work with. If I needed to create a purchase invoice, I just easily click on the purchase invoice button. I can put in my vendor invoice number, whatever that might be, and then I go and enter in the information from the invoice itself. So this is actually going to be an item. We actually looked at our item list earlier, so let me pull up the list so you can kind of see the full option here. We're going to say that we actually have a purchase invoice for some London swivel chairs. So I select the item number. I can select the quantity that the purchase invoice is for, and complete any fields that might be applicable to the remaining purchase invoice, and simply click on post, and I'm able to post this invoice directly into Business Central. Okay, it's basically asking me, do I want to post this open invoice? Yes, I do, or open the posted invoice, sorry. I do, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on print as well, just so we can actually see what this invoice would look like. Again, because of the integration with Office 365 and other features and functions, I could email this invoice, I could attach additional documents, run it through an approval or workflow process, really have a wide variety of features and functions that I'm able to do. Print it, share it, all the things that you might do with a document of this nature as part of your day-to-day processing. Okay. So we saw how a quote to cash was created and what happened when we received payments from a customer. Now we'll take just a quick look at payment journals. So now I'm ready to actually pay the purchase invoice for Fabricam. So just to show how easy that is, and actually go make a payment. It's going to be to a vendor, and Business Central is automatically able to look up my list of approved vendors. We know we're doing this scenario through Fabricam Corp. I can indicate how much I'm looking to pay towards that invoice. Okay. And then actually decide which document does this payment apply to, as well as have Business Central help guide me on perhaps which invoice document number that this payment might specifically be applied to. So by highlighting one of these, I can simply click on OK, and Business Central knows not only who to make that payment to, but also what invoice to post it to, and all is presented from a single one-line entry process, which I think is pretty great. There's also some cheat buttons up here that I often use in testing and setting up my demo environment. So you can suggest vendor payments, you can suggest employee payments. So if you're not really sure who this belongs to, which vendor or which employee this payment is due, Business Central is smart enough to kind of provide you with the guidelines and the tools to kind of assist you along the way. So those are some high-level looks at quote to cash as well as procure to pay. The other thing I wanted to touch on, and being respectful of the time here, is really taking a look at reporting capabilities. I think you've seen from the slides and the presentation so far that there's really a lot of information and functionality and features within the Business Central application. Obviously, we can have a lot of this data presented at our single one-source screen, but in every organization, there's always additional needs for reporting capabilities. So there are reports that are actually built into Business Central that are very easy to access and run and very easy to view information on. These reports can be run ad hoc very easily with defined filters, but one of the things I really like is the fact that they can also be scheduled. So if there's certain reports that need to be run based on certain time criteria, whether that's per month, per week, per day, etc., I can actually go in and schedule these reports based upon my user ID and profile, and Business Central will tell me that my report's been scheduled and it's going to appear in my report inbox when it's completed. What does that look like? Well, we'll scroll down a little bit to actually take a look at our report inbox. So here's a view, at least for my user profile, like on a list of scheduled reports that have been posted out there based upon certain creation dates and criteria that are automatically going to be run and will be presented to me in my report inbox upon logging on. But the reporting and analytics doesn't really stop there. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the wonderful powers of Power BI. I know Chris's presentation touched a little bit on that as well. But because Business Central is part of that Microsoft technology stack, you're able to leverage Power BI and actually pull those reports directly into your home screen. So in addition to any reports that you can schedule or run, you'll notice down here I have a display panel that's actually presenting me with several Power BI reports that have been included directly into Business Central. I can scroll through these to look at next reports or previous reports to see really a deep dive into the data. This one's taking a little time processing. If I wanted to drill down in these reports for additional data, let me go back to my previous one. That way we can show you kind of the drill down. But let's say on these, I want to see more specific information. I'll be presented with options where I can actually go down and show detailed data of what's making up that specific report. It's a lot of information on a single screen. But the greatest thing I like is I can actually click on Expand Report, which will take any report that's on my dashboard, blow it out, and actually pull it up in the Power BI desktop, which is, I'm not sure if you all have used a lot of this, but it's a very powerful reporting tool that's able to present a lot of data and analytics in a very usable fashion from your fingertips. So by clicking on Expand, it's basically pulled me out to my Power BI desktop view. I can actually drill down into these specifics, anything I might be interested in exploring more, and get more specific data. Of course, if I want to change the view of the data, I can always click Show Data to give me a different format. But in this case, at least for our demo environment, we've set up a series of Power BI reports that pulls directly from our Business Central environment. This is another one of a favorite of mine just because it really shows the different types of analytical views and reports that you can do. So we've got, for example, total units year-to-date by manufacturer and region that's easily being presented from within Business Central Power BI window that allows me to drill down and show specific data of what numbers are making this up. And I can really have kind of a hands-on approach to how my business is being run from day to day without having to create complicated reports or rely on multiple systems, pulling all of my data into a single source. So that pretty much concludes kind of a high-level review of the features and functions of Dynamics 365 Business Central. I appreciate the time, and if you have any questions, please let me know.